Greetings, chosen ones. Peace and blessings to you all. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you're out there in the world being more than conquerors, doing great things out in your community, for your friends, for your family, all for the glory of God. So today I'm back with another video. I'm going to be talking about 5 myths about semen retention. Okay, but before we get into it, you know what you've got to do. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button, share this video to anyone you think will benefit from it, and do leave me a comment below. Thank you very much. So let's get into it. So 5 myths about semen retention. So I've seen these, I've noticed these are out there a lot, and I've noticed lately, you know, there's been quite a few attacks on it. You know, I've noticed that if you put it into a search engine, you'll see quite a lot of negative stuff about it. And I'm always one of those people that thinks, you know, you always get most flack when you're directly over the target. So there's something about semen retention that triggers people, right? I've noticed that. And I notice a lot of these kind of insults and shaming tactics. You know, one of the things that gets thrown out there is, number one, you know, semen retention, it's for incels. You know, involuntary celibates, you know, men that can't get women, you know, weak types. And I've seen this thrown out there, and it's normally been thrown out there by women who like to use seductive techniques a lot. They rely on seduction. You know, they've got very little else to bring to the table, you know, in terms of personality, in terms of, you know, traits that, you know, men that are looking to build something solid, you know, a solid foundation in life, raise a family, they're not the women you would consider suitable for that. And they seem to be throwing a lot of insults out there. You know, when the seduction tactics don't work, you know, it's like, well, you know, they'll call you names, you're an incel, you know. But I'm also seeing that being thrown at people, you know, that are practicing semen retention. I'm seeing that being put out there a lot by dating coaches as well, you know. And I think primarily it comes from ignorance and fear. You know, people feel what they can't control, and people feel what they can't understand. You know, and with dating coaches, you know, you've got a lot of grifters out there, you know, and they're trying to sell you techniques, and it's all based on the current paradigm, right, which I would consider, you know, the old paradigm now. You know, this whole thing that, you know, you've got to appeal to women that have very short attention spans, you know, so you've got to become like a performing seal, you've got to be like a court jester, you've got to wear a mask, you've got to use techniques to get the attention of these women that have, you know, thousands of options on social media. They're getting attention left, right and centre, so you've got to keep upping your game, you know. And you know, when men are opting out of that now, you know, they're getting into semen retention for a number of reasons which I'll come to. But you know, it's kind of pathetic really when you see this being thrown out there, and really it comes down to fear, because they fear losing customers. That's really all it comes down to, you know. So they'll throw names out there. They'll say you're a beta male, you know, oh, you're weak, you know. And really, to me, and I'm sure to a lot of other men as well that are practicing semen retention, it's the opposite of being weak. You know, it's about discipline. You know, it's about becoming more masculine. It's about holding on to your energy. So, you know, you see them throwing these comments out there, and they're really just shaming tactics, you know, which are kind of feminine traits really, and it's kind of sad to see. So, you know, to say it's for incels is kind of ridiculous, you know. I mean, I can't speak for other men, but, you know, in my own experience, you know, I'm someone who has been married in the past. You know, I'm no longer married, but, you know, I'm not boasting, but, you know, I've been with a lot of women. You know, there was a point in my life I had 5 girlfriends on the go at one time. You know, I'm not proud of that. It's just the way it is, you know. And you know, to me, semen retention is really about, you know, refocusing. You know, what are you doing in life? What are your goals? Is it benefiting you to live a lifestyle like that? And it's not. So, men do it for a lot of different reasons. There are men who are married or in relationships and practicing semen retention. So this whole argument is for incels, completely bogus. It's a shaming tactic. It's based on ignorance. It's based on fear. And we've put that one to bed. So number two. Okay, so it's part of MGTOW, or men going their own way, and I'd say there's an element of truth in that. I mean, the thing about MGTOW, it's some label that's kind of been slapped on. Men are kind of seeing the culture we're in. They see that the table is tilted against them. So what I see MGTOW as is a natural reaction from men to a culture that is not healthy. Right, the system is very female-centric. A lot of men are getting divorce rates in courts, and understandably they're opting out, the whole thing about MGTOW is, it's a normal reaction to an unhealthy situation. But, the big difference about semen retention, I mean, although it could be considered part of MGTOW, it's basically men opting out of the current or the old paradigm, where they're expected to do certain things in life and the table is tilted against them. And they're opting out. They're saying, no, we've had enough of this. We're not putting up with this anymore. We're not going to be second-class citizens in this culture anymore. So that's understandable. But I think the difference with semen retention, although it could be considered part of MGTOW, it's really men choosing their own path instead of what society is dictating to them. The big difference is many are still releasing, okay? So with MGTOW, there's a lot of men that they're releasing, but just not with Western women, right? So they're still viewing pornography. A lot of them are visiting prostitutes, just having girlfriends, or even using sex dolls. So it's in that respect, it's not part of MGTOW in that respect. Although, to say a man is going their own way, it could be termed that way. So I'd say, there's a little bit of truth in that. But MGTOW isn't really a movement. It's just kind of a label that's been slapped on men deciding, they're going to live the way they want to live and not under a system that's kind of, tilted the table against them and they're completely disadvantaged by it. So let's come to number three. So they say it's for men who hate women. So again, I mean, I don't hate women at all. And I'm sure, most of you watching this don't hate women. I love women, and there's no truth in that at all. And it comes down again to ignorance about the motivations behind it. I actually think the practice of semen retention by men is actually going to benefit women as well in the long run and society. A lot of men are just saying, it's not a healthy focus for our time and our sexual energy to be pursuing women in the current system, and chasing after women, running after women. We're going to spend our time, our effort and our energy, put into pursuits that are more productive or we consider more productive. So that's really what it's about. And also, it's about, when men become stronger, more disciplined, they become more strong and they shape the future. I believe, very much that, the current situation we're in is a lot due to men becoming weaker and weaker. When men start to refocus, where they're putting their time, their energy and attention, they're becoming stronger, they're becoming more disciplined. It's going to cause a shift in females in the current culture, and we're already starting to see that. Women are going, well, where have all the good men gone? And they're using these terms, and I think that is starting that shift, and it's going to take men to do it. Because men are the leaders of society. It's not going to be the women, and society's kind of pushed it that way through feminism and things like that, and we can see where that's ending up. It's nowhere good, right? It's ending up in complete chaos and disarray. There's no grounding in tradition and family values, which I think is very important for the structure of society. So next one, number 4, I've seen this one out there as well. It gives you prostate cancer. Okay, so this is another one. There was a Harvard study. Okay, so there's really not a lot of study on this, but it's thrown out there a lot that it gives you prostate cancer. So it was actually a Harvard study, and really all they could come up with at the end of it is that it may increase prostate cancer, if you're not releasing, and they say it's only effective as a preventative measure in men who are over 50, okay? And they don't know why. So really they just said, I've got the notes here, let me just find the notes on that. More research is needed, basically. So that's all they could come up with on that. And there was one other study that came to the conclusion that, men are more likely to develop prostate cancer if they were highly sexually active in their 20s and 30s. So again, there's not any real hard evidence that not releasing is going to make you more prone to prostate cancer. And again, I'd go to thousands of testimonies from men who have been doing this, for 7, 10, 15, 20 years, who aren't experiencing prostate cancer. When you think about it as well, there's this idea that, if you're not releasing, it's kind of sitting stagnant in your body and, building up, and it's kind of not true, because your body is recycling its own cells all the time. Cells are being broken down, reused. It's a bit like saying, if you don't give a pint of blood every week, you're going to get blood cancer. So it's kind of bogus. It doesn't really hold water. There's not really any substantial research to suggest that it is going to give you prostate cancer when you practice semen retention. Okay, so number 5, so they'll say, well, it's just, it's a form of bro science, right? So again, it's kind of like, it's just belittling it, as a practice, just because, they'll say, well, science hasn't affirmed it, medical science hasn't affirmed it. And obviously I'm not a doctor, right? But, it's kind of discrediting real world testimonies. Like I said, the thousands of men out there that are doing it, who don't have any problems. So there's this whole idea of this paradigm that, you've got to be doing certain things, and if you don't do that, it's going to cause you problems, and it's simply not true. Not sure what else I can add to that one. So we've pretty much, I'd say, we've debunked all of these. I'd say MGTOW, you could probably say it's part of MGTOW if you wanted, but it's not really. There's a number of different reasons why, men practice semen retention. It could be, someone's coming away from or trying to beat a pornography addiction, and they want to reboot, right? So they want to get out of that cycle that they've got themselves into, where they just feel trapped and they just feel addicted to, watching pornography, releasing to pornography. So there's men that just feel they want to spend, they want to conserve their energy. That I always think that, your seed is like an aspect of God within you. It's a spiritual force, and it can be directed in other areas. So it can be used. If a man decides that really he wants to put that energy, the idea of transmuting it in your body, and refocusing that energy into other goals. There's plenty of men that do it for that reason as well. it could purely be for health reasons. They just feel it's going to benefit them for health reasons, or it could be, seen as a spiritual practice as well. I would argue that primarily it could be considered as a spiritual practice. You're refocusing. You're focusing less on your flesh and the demands of your flesh, and you're refocusing that energy, your spiritual energy, your sexual energy, and it's bringing you closer to God. You're spending that time, building that relationship with God, rather than out there focusing on material stuff, which is what, a lot of people like, life coaches, dating coaches are telling you, you've got to be chasing money, you've got to be chasing women, you've got, the measure of success is, loads of money and loads of women, and that's the measure of success. And really, that's not true. I think a lot of men, and I think society, a lot of people in society in general are trying to get back to, a more grounded way of living, a way of living that's more, it's not focused purely on the physical and physical stuff. Life needs to have meaning. Meaning is about, beneficial, healthy relationships with people, and relationships with God. I think we need all of that. We need a solid foundation in our lives, and we need a culture with a solid foundation. Not just, the do what thou wilt mentality. So, I think we're going to wrap it up there. I don't know if there's anything else I can add on to that. I think we've been over it all. So, we'll leave it there. So if you like this video, do subscribe, leave me a like, share this video to anyone you think will benefit from it, and do leave me a comment, any questions or that you might have in the comment section below, and I'll see you again on the next video. Bye.